This is your opportunity to find out what's going on in the realtor market in regards to in regards to getting mortgages, just to see what's going on in New Jersey. I have and bringing on Tim Foreman with Weichert Realtors. He's a mortgage advisor, and he's going to let us kind of give us a little insight just to help us out a little bit during this communication. So here comes Tim for us. Give me just a moment. Let me have him join our meeting. So, hello there, Tim. Can't hear me.
Courtney, can you hear me? I can't hear you now.
There we go. Now you should be able to hear me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's so good to see you again today.
Good to see you, Courtney. Everything well?
I am doing well. How about you? How's your wife?
Fine. We're good.
Good to hear. It's a nicer day today.
Thank goodness.
So you get to get those plants out some.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I do appreciate you coming on this Zoom call with me as we go zooming together to kind of let people know what's kind of going on in the mortgage. Now remember, Tim is a mortgage advisor. He's been in the business now for like a little over 30 years, so he's seen quite a bit of changes. So Tim, what can you tell us now?
You know what, I would tell you that there are still numerous mortgage programs that are still out there and available. There are some programs that have become a little bit more restrictive, those being very low down payment loans, higher, larger jumbo loans, home equity loans. You know, some programs, they pulled back a little bit. But I will tell you, over the last 2-3 weeks, pretty much most of the loans that I utilize and that fit for the clients for mortgage purposes, they're all very much still available.
Great.
I know there was a lot of concerns, and interest rates have been a little bit up and down, up and down. However, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, the rates have very much calmed down. I would say in the last 10 days to 2 weeks, most of the loans, as I'm pulling in, the rates, they're in the mid to low threes. I even had one the end of last week that it was actually just slightly below 3%, which is really is
amazing.
Yeah, it is. So it's stabilized, and things are kind of back on track, which is good. And the mortgage process has not been a problem for us at Weichert. We have met every single closing date that we've had for the last 2 months. No delays, which has been good. So everything's kind of back on track and as usual. Just so everybody knows, relative to the interest rates, there's a lot of things that go into determining what your rate will be. And the big factors are, what's the down payment? Is it a purchase or is it a refinance? And one of the biggest factors is the credit score. Credit really has a lot to do with the interest rate. So two people who seem to be very, very similar, there could be a difference in that rate because of credit. But again, the rates are still in good position. The one thing I would say to any people, who are starting to look out, who are, trying to find a property, step number one is, without a doubt, getting a pre-approval. By having the pre-approval, your buyer will know exactly what they're qualified for. And more importantly, they'll see all the numbers, because when you get your pre-approval, at least when I send it out, I send a very detailed schedule that will show what is the total cash required to close, and it'll show what that mortgage payment is. So again, I can't emphasize enough, get that pre-approval. And sometimes it comes up that they may not even be aware, but there could be some credit issues, and I will kind of give suggestions on what they need to do to turn that around,
Absolutely.
which can be done.
Yes. And pretty much they also want to get that pre-approval because they want to know how much house they can really get,
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yep. Absolutely.
They don't want to waste their time looking at a house for 6 something when they really can only afford 4, or it really looks like 4 is a better range for them.
Absolutely. And needless to say, but to a lot of people just starting and having not done this before, if and when you're making an offer to, buy somebody's home, with that offer, you have to give a pre-approval letter. So it's going to be kind of mandatory to have that if, you're trying to get under contract.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now, along with that, as we know, because along with not just being able to get the mortgage finance, you also have the other businesses that come into play.
Yeah. Fortunately, Weichert Financial, which is the other side, not the real estate side of Weichert, they also can arrange and set everything up to get the insurance on the property, the homeowner's insurance, the title insurance, which is required at closing, and we also have Weichert Insurance.
Exactly.
Weichert Insurance deals with, I think it's somewhere between 30 and 35 different insurance companies. So they will go out when they're looking to make a quote and find what is the most reasonable, what's the best coverage, and what's the cost for that coverage.
Exactly. And that's why one of the lovely things about Weichert is that we are all under one umbrella, under one roof, as we should say, right?
Yeah.
Look, I sit under one umbrella from back in the day when I was with Citibank, but no, Weichert, and Weichert, we're all under one roof.
All under one roof.
That's one of the lovely things when you deal with a Weichert agent, especially now when there's been so many changes or adjustments. If we're all in one place, then you kind of have a few contacts, and if you can't contact one of us, we have good relationships with the other so that everything gets done. So that's a definite plus for us. Now, like, I know you have your mortgage calculator, and from what I understand, you like to advise people after they get their pre-approval that they could play with the numbers there.
Well, that's the application. It's called Card Tap. And typically when I start taking information, I'll put people into the Card Tap. They can go in there and look at mortgage payments, which is kind of a real quick and handy little tool for them if they are going to look for at different properties. I mean, they know what they have for a down payment, so they can go in and get a estimate as to what would be the mortgage payment. That's the one piece of it that I see when the people I've shared it with, they're using that all the time.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what time of day they're in there doing mortgage calculations.
Yeah, because essentially it goes back to you every time they use it, right?
I can see where people, are into, taking a look at payments and rates. Yep.
Now, do you go back out after they use that maybe a few times to see if they need any other further assistance or want to know more details?
I'll just reach out and say, I see, you've been calculating some payments. Can I help you with anything, or do you have any questions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it really is a relationship from their realtor, because most of the time they get your app from the realtor that they're using, or.
Yeah. I send it out to every agent in the office.
That's right.
And the agents can share it with their clients.
That's correct. See, and that's just how convenient. That's how we make things even more convenient for people. The fact that here's your agent, here's our mortgage advisor, here's a tool that's going to help a client potentially look at how much house they can buy after they receive their pre-approval. And the nice thing that I like about that is when it comes to sell, like someone looking to sell their house, when we bring somebody to look at it, or when we have someone who's interested in a seller's house, we already know up front if they should even be looking at that house as an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and that's what makes it nice when you come with it. It's like when you use a Weichert agent, because it's like, hey, now that you use me, this is what I'm going to do for anybody who's looking at buying your property.
Yeah.
So when we look at it, like right now, like we said, it goes back to the whole idea, like right now, even in the environment that we're in, you still close deals this month.
Yeah.
You're still
Well,
helping.
even for people who are considering or thinking about listing their home, in some cases they have to sell, whether it's a relocation or something like that. But it's a good idea too for the sellers to maybe get pre-approved on the assumption that here's their plan. They're hoping to sell their property. I'll kind of rough out on some numbers as to what the proceeds would be. So what do they have to go buy another house? And then I can tell them, what they would be qualified to do once they've sold their house in a certain price range.
Exactly. Beautiful. And now when it comes to like people who are looking for investment properties, those rental properties, those type of buyers, do you also look at, just to want to make sure, do you also look at, okay, if you bought this property, do you also maybe help them in advisement regarding how much rent they could charge for that particular property and how it relates back to them purchasing a loan for that property?
Well, I'll always refer back to the agent and say, based on the market or that neighborhood, or if in fact, if it's a multifamily and it's currently rented,
look at what this
get the details and get the facts. Well, it's a 3-unit. Well, what's the income from those 3 units? And then it gets factored into the qualifications.
Absolutely. So it still goes back to our relationship, how related we all are. Because I know, like, yes, I've dealt with a couple of buyers who bought multifamilies, and it goes back to like, this is about how much you can get for rent on this property, and then it'd be like, we relate it back to you, and you still work the numbers out for them. Yeah. So exactly. So in this market, so you're still seeing people put in loan applications right now. We're still looking for houses right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Very much so.
Absolutely. So right now, I think the biggest issue we have, especially here, which is not as much of an issue in regards to like the market crashing or anything like that, but it's more of an issue because if we have buyers out there, we just have low inventory right now.
Yeah.
So that's our biggest concern. Like, we don't have enough inventory for the buyers who are looking. So for us, it's still a good idea that if you are looking to sell, that you get the house, that you look at putting the house on the market. Because even I know from our Weichert standpoint, and probably with a lot of other brokerage too, we've put a lot of protocols in place here in New Jersey for safety concerns of our buyers as well as our sellers. Yep. When it comes to showing the housing and getting it getting it to close. So we're looking at safety measures from beginning to end.
Yeah. Again, the sooner a buyer has, connected with the lender and has that pre-approval, then it's, full speed ahead.
Exactly.
The market will come back.
Oh, of course it will. Because we still have people working. It's not like nobody's working. We still have people, and there's all types of situations why people move. So it's either whether or not you can wait to move right now, or if you can wait to make that next move, or whether or not you need to do it right this minute. Right. So that's pretty much what it comes down to. So, I don't know, have you looked at how things looked this time last year too, or aren't we about the same? Like, I want to say somewhat last year, this time in April, or?
Well, it'll be interesting to recap once we're through April and maybe even going into May. But all the way through March, the numbers were very, very similar.
Very similar. So
absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's a good thing for people to understand, that it's not our market so far is still, we haven't seen a decrease in the sell price of houses either substantially. So this is all, for both sides, with the interest rates being low, this is good news.
Yeah. Because fingers crossed that we stay that way.
Exactly, because that means you could buy more house, or at least have an option to look at if you were on the fence about buying a house or selling, it gives you the option like, So, but absolutely. So do you want to take us out with any final notes, Tim?
No, again, I can't emphasize enough, get that pre-approval, if only for your own sake, so you see what's involved.
Exactly, or what's involved to get it done, or what you need to have to get to that point.
Yep.
definitely.
Yep.
So I like to thank Tim Foreman with Weichert, who's a mortgage advisor, and if you want his information, he'll be on my Facebook page along with myself, and we'll definitely, if you want to contact either one of us, by all means do so. But Tim, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Courtney.
doing this with me today, and we'll be seeing each other soon, hopefully.
Stay well.
You too.